A big change coming on over here to Sentinels. They've already seen some immediate success through Arlington, and can they continue that here in pool play today? Well, time will tell, and we're about to find out right now, Tony.
It's pretty crazy. When Boo Boo Doobu's your tertiary slayer on the team behind Falcade and Spartan, you know you have a good roster. And coming into Aquarius, they are going to be tested. OpTic Gaming are looking to get back into championship form. It starts right here. Capture the flag.
And here we go, kicking it off with my man Boo Boo Doo, checking things out over at Car. And look at how these starting strats have changed a bit. Lucid jumping off top flag, challenging over towards the util. Boo Boo being the normal sneaky player he is, realizing he's last one alive. He was last spotted at Car and wants to make his way out, but OpTic are too smart, and they're cutting off all the angles. Boo Boo is shut down. APG grabs the flag and gets a stick over towards Falcated.
What a start by OpTic Gaming. Overwhelming pressure comes in, and Sentinels find themselves 4 down and a wipe off the rip. OpTic Gaming already going to be advancing this flag forward. Clearly, they're not playing any games here.
They have it all the way towards their util. Now they're going to get to this position to say, do they need to drop and slay, or do they run it right in? Decides to drop for a short period in time, but that's going to be the first flag going in by Lucid.
Less than a minute worth of gameplay. We already see a 1-0 lead coming out of OpTic Gaming. This is the reason why this was their bread and butter at Arlington. 5-1 record on capture the flag, even against the likes of Sentinels.
Such a strong map in mode from the squad, but look at this methodical play. They get the kills, they get the strong positions, and then they push back on over towards util and continue to hold those areas where if they get the additional slays, they're able to move that flag safely across the map. And just like we saw in the very beginning of Halo Infinite, these teams opting to run it over towards the util side.
Bringing that flag over towards the strong side, but it looks like Sentinels were able to slow them down just a bit. The final player of Sentinels is going to be lethal. Nades are coming in, and so are the respawners from Sentinels. And you know what? I think now's the perfect time. Let's hop on board with a listening with OpTic Gaming. You're fresh off of a 1-0 start. Let's see how they continue that motion.
Our pink jump.
Looking car 1, Joe.
Our pink jump. Car 3. P2 absolute. P2 weak.
Car jump.
They got me. Our car jump, guys. There's a thrust. And one was pink 2.
Yeah, they pink jump 1 shot.
I'm looking.
Nice. Still car 1 somewhere?
Yeah,
He's still car 1 somewhere. Could be our gen.
I got him.
Nice.
Nice.
There's a thrust.
Sparty.
I'll call it.
He's going on car 3.
They're going car 2 weak. Sparty, our side.
Sparty dead.
Here's my pink, guys.
Last guy pink 2. Pull. Last guy pink 2.
Thinks you're really weak. Boo. One shot
On me, the fridge on me.
Shot top on mid.
Already bad. Our fridge is low, guys. Our fridge going into our flag. 2 dead, one's our pink door. Absolutely. Dead. 2 dead. Nice. Throw.
I
felt pink 2 lethal. And one's in front base, last guy. One shot for the base, Sparty.
It's all you, Matt, all you.
They're gen 1 shot Sparty. Our fridge right now, Tommy.
They're
gen 1 shot Sparty right now. Look at him. He's still 100% there. Yeah, they're gen again. Had him once, Tommy. Had him twice.
I don't see him, Gen.
Gen Fred?
Gen, absolute Gen.
Nice, 2. Nice, 3.
Should be spawning pink or back flag.
Hey, he's gonna be a flag, I think.
That's in their base.
He waves up soon.
For the base, man.
You have it.
Hear that.
Fridge.
Are you fridge?
I'm
Top
absolute.
fridge.
I'm pushing it.
We can run this pink.
On you weak, on your street.
Yeah, I'm one shot, Brad. I'm one shot.
Absolute flag.
You should die.
Fridge absolute still.
Hear that.
Pushing fridge.
They're spawning gen.
They're flag absolute.
One shot for base.
Let's go.
We need back to our flag. He's probably on our side somewhere. He should be on our side.
Car 2 with shots. That's him.
Okay.
Watch car 3. Still car 2. Weak.
Hear that. Just keep moving that flag.
As a car 2.
Yeah,
I'll have a car door. I'm hiding.
I can't help this.
Our car jump weak. Sparty.
I'm one shot.
Our car door now, Tommy. Our car door now.
3 on 3. 2 dead. Nice shot.
Yeah, maybe one more on me. Yeah, our gen.
What a clinic in communication there by OpTic Gaming. Few things you'll notice as they are always keeping a track of where the members of Sentinels are. They're saying, hey, the last one's over here, bottom card. Did we clear that one out yet? Okay, moving on to the next one. They're not letting any flankers get by. It's no surprise when we watch the beginning of that map how Boo Boo Doo was spotted out. They knew where he's at and they did not let him sneak by.
And it's that effective communication that's about to lead to a 4-0 start. OpTic already have this flag in the base. They're about to punch this one in. One shot tripping. He's going to wait for his shields to come back. Once it does, easy count. Okay, there we go. All right. Showing off a little bit.
Just taking his time. One thing Trippy realizing is that these opposing members on Sentinels, when somebody's putting that flag in, a lot of times they're looking to lay down that damage, get that kill, and then move across the map. Instead, waiting for his shields to come fully back, letting them sit up in a spot where they're maybe not doing as much damage in the past. So that was, besides getting a few extra style points, there's actually some rhyme and reason to that.
one thing that really impressed me during the listening for OpTic Gaming is not even just the effective communication, but also responding to those call-outs. Like, as soon as the call-out is made, as soon as the decision is made, you're gonna say, I can do that, I'm there. I love that response to call-outs, and I love this ping-pong action coming out of Formal. No wonder why it's a 16-5 start. You can't kill the man.
No, just great QT play there out of Formal. We also saw that out of APG earlier. One thing they'll do is every time they grab that quantum teleporter, they will run to a way further away spot on the map to make sure that they're traversing back and forth. That way, the members of Sentinels have to have forces on both sides. If you don't win the first fight where APG or Formal are currently at, they're not going to teleport. And if they do win that first fight, they're just going to teleport where you don't have coverage. It's just such a great coverage of the map, and that's why you'll see them instantly sprint and cover more ground when they're teleporting back and forth.
OpTic did momentarily go 3 down, so it might be an opportunity for Sentinels to continue to push forward as they just put OpTic 2 down, once again allowing them to advance forward. Lethal already having that pole, making it over towards the strong side at the moment and barely touched. Trippy's doing everything he can to stay alive. He's the only one that might be able to stop this flag, but then Lethal slides into his DMs real quick, deals with him quickly. Lethal eventually goes down thanks to his former teammate, and that flag is sitting in no man's land. 3 down go OpTic. I don't think it's going to be returned. It is.
Ah, man, APG, just as they got the flag all the way towards the util, two main members of Sentinels were spread thin. They didn't have the firepower needed. You also notice how Trippy did a good job of staying alive, buying as much time as possible over the fridge, drawing somebody over towards the fridge side of the flag, and then just sprinting over towards util. So all these members, when they're staying alive as that last flanker, are using up as many resources as possible from the opposing team.
A 4-0 start coming out of OpTic Gaming. The one bright side for Sentinels that it happened so quickly that you have plenty of time on the board to try to tie things up. But you gotta play some clean Halo here, and with that heat wave into the BR combo from Boo Boo Doo, taking down Formal momentarily, giving him that numbers advantage. He's able to deal with APG as well. Now you got a bit of a 1v1. Not able to win that one. Is gonna back down and play his life, and Trippy is still angling him out.
Yeah, Trippy is committed to killing Boo Boo out of the base. You notice Boo Boo didn't want to just jump out and challenge that right away because much more at risk, much more to lose. Boo Boo was behind enemy lines. And because of that great distraction, you see Sentinels still putting pressure on, still pushing across the map. They had 2 members of OpTic down, and they still are in a strong spot. We could see Sentinels continue to apply this pressure and get a potential second flagpole.
3 members of OpTic Gaming on screen, but just see 3 members of Sentinels starting to infiltrate that base. Spartan starts it off by pulling that flag, tries to draw the attention of OpTic. He does that. They go 3 down.
Yeah, you saw that push and pull, just assuming they had enough control and just the wrong time to pull that flag. Sometimes it feels like if the flag's not moving, you want to grab that and get it right away, but other times you need to make sure you get the damage first and foremost, especially against a strong Slayer squad like OpTic.
And OpTic been wasting no time whatsoever. The moment Sentinels end up losing those numbers is the moment that flag is pulled, and it's already at the 50% portion of the map. This could be the final flag being run by OpTic. The nades are coming in. Lucid ends up going down. Trippy's forced to pull out of position to make sure he secures those kills. Will that flag be relayed?
Smart play by Trippy, almost getting the triple, but damage has been done. All 4 down for Sentinel. APG gonna score that 5th and final flag. A lot of that thanks due to Trippy's smart play. They're gonna have to do it right here. Like you said, if this is statistically their second best game mode, they gotta prove it right here, right now. I always believe that your skill is always in relation to your opponents. Your stronger game modes, your position should always be taken in relation to your opponents. And as you said before, if this is considered OpTic's #1, they have their work cut out. Boo Boo trying to fly right in, get that touch. That looks like Boo Boo and Falcon both kind of desperate towards that camo. My guess is they assumed OpTic were going to have a more lax start. They were going to flank around a bit more. It's kind of like a little bit of a rock, paper, scissors at the beginning, Tony. Some team, if they throw all their resources towards the camo right away, the team that camps right around the camo is going to counter that. However, the team that camps right around the camo is going to get flanked and lose to a team that takes the wider routes, which ultimately loses to that rock beginning part, like I said before, someone that just goes all in on the camo right away and is avoiding those flank routes. So it's kind of a little bit of mind game sometimes off the start there when going for those initial power-ups.
Well, the counter strat did ultimately end up working out for OpTic, but the camouflage player goes down quickly, and now we see a double push come out of OpTic Gaming over toward the tower side. No real utilities in hand. Formal has a really great off angle over toward the bottom gold stairs, but Sparty clears him out quickly, and now that glass gold control, which is so important in the hands of Sentinels, right as OpTic goes 3 down, make it 4.
Looking so good right there. Now, one thing that will be interesting to find out later is how do Sentinels continue to keep this pressure up? And then secondly, are OpTic a little too dependent on having control and having things a bit more calmed down? Because things are fine if you're calm and talking about where's the last member here of Sentinels. But when your team doesn't have all those angles, when you don't have the advantage, at some point you have to shoot your way out. You can call out all you want, you can teamwork as best you can, but ultimately people have to hit shots and they have to get a kill. And sometimes those players that are used to more chaotic situations because of either past teams or just your team's play style, they're gonna thrive in those situations. Whereas someone like OpTic, they're so well structured, they're so used to having each other's backs, they're so used to saying, hey, in our ideal situation, we wanna have players in position A, B, and C. So we're gonna have to see how this one pans out, because as this game was chaotic at the beginning, you saw Sentinels just taking off, and they have a 13-kill lead, Tony.
Sentinels have been able to read OpTic's playbook, and it is working for them. A 19-6 start coming out of Sentinels, and look at Lethal trying to be a sneaky beaver, hiding in plain sight with that camouflage. He is taken down. Sentinels do end up going 3 down, but why don't we hop into a listening with them coming off of spawn? They still have a dominant lead, and they can still bounce back here.
There's a guy bottom A holding me though.
Long now, long now.
Turn around, turn around.
Hold on, I'm going for the glass guy.
Pushing glass.
Yep.
He'll die, he'll die.
Bottom A weak,
Nice
Lucid.
job,
Hey, I'm going back to C.
Yeah.
I'm cutting mid map actually.
I
Let's
hear
go,
that,
let's go.
I hear that, Jesse. I'm with
Maybe
you.
Balage, maybe.
Make a turbine push.
Yeah,
Make a
yeah,
turbine
half
push.
wall sniper.
Top A weak, top A weak, Lucid.
Normal sniping.
Yeah.
Watch out sniping.
I got killed by
bottom
fight door.
Oh god, oh god, oh god.
We're respawning. Half
One
wall.
shot.
2 half wall. He had shock there.
I swung glass, I swung glass.
Dude,
They
I
could be
just
terror,
spawned
they
down
could be
tricky.
terror.
One's already silo.
Top
I'll go,
A
I'll go, I'll go.
sniping.
Yeah.
He's top A sniping,
Half wall.
holding the
Half wall
sneaky
weak, half
angle.
wall
Watch
weak.
out,
One is
Mike.
blue, one is
And
blue.
on shock spawn,
Right,
the
right,
batteries.
Yeah.
One was like
Yeah,
Ballage or something.
I spawned in red. I'm
Top
trying
A,
to
top A sniping weak.
Yo, half wall,
half
weak. Yo, weak.
Half wall, one shot, bottom A.
Batledge.
Silo, silo.
Ballage or something on Tyler.
Dead.
Nice.
We got one. We can
One
move.
silo.
Turbine, bottom A, bottom A.
Yeah.
Like I'm
going
turbine
bottom in,
weak.
going bottom in.
Turbine weak, turbine weak, Tyler.
Yeah, one is back silo on me,
I
so.
think bottom A.
Yes, I know, TJ, I know.
Okay, okay.
Bottom A
Lucid
weak,
on me.
APG.
Help you, TJ, I'm helping you.
Half
Shot,
wall,
absolute.
half wall, do you, Tyler?
Got one, I hear that.
Top bottom A and top A, let's do.
I died. Two lockers.
Yeah,
Last
both
two.
there, both
I
there.
help, I
Go,
help.
go.
Last 2
on
lockers.
the
He
spot.
has a shock. He has a
Dead.
shock.
Dead.
Nice. 2 dead.
I'm one shot. Yo, CC's the bottom mid, bottom mid.
Yes, camo 20.
I
Camo
just see
20
one.
seconds.
Might be bottom
I'm
mid.
looking bottom mid already.
He's real pulse, real
Yeah,
pulse.
I have shots, repulse.
I hear that.
APG one shot.
Shot.
Where, Ty, where?
Glass for me.
Sneaky, sneaky, yeah.
Glass
Sneak
weak,
me
glass
bottom mid,
covered.
Lucid.
Covered
Nice,
weak, covered
okay.
weak. Go glass
Nice.
weak.
One shot long, one shot
Got
long.
camo
Yeah.
7
I'll go
seconds.
glass. Dead.
Right.
4 dead, one
Watch
just
A
spawn, one
for
just
camo.
spawn,
Watch A
yep.
towards camo.
Yep.
2 seconds. 2 seconds. Spark.
We don't really. I
Bottom
spawn
A.
batteries, bro.
I'm nading off
Getting
for bottom
in
A.
the
Grab it.
I'm watching C.
I got it.
Oh, I can't watch
Needles.
it. Needles, kill me, guys.
Nice
Nice.
job.
I'm one shot
We're gonna
batteries.
be A, I think.
Now listen to how chaotic and how emotional they are during a lot of these callouts. Just yelling out where people are at, yelling out where they spawn. Let's actually go to an OpTic Gaming listen-in so you can hear the difference in these comms between these two squads.
Tower. I might die. I'm good.
You guys watch my cross?
They might push off this, guys. They might push off
Yo,
this.
watch our mid for a second.
Tower
Watch our
weak,
mid.
Justin.
We have gold elevator right now.
Up there,
Watching
Jesse.
you. Okay, yeah, we have
Long
gold.
goal, big door, big door.
Same thing we play off Brad.
We're not
Big door,
watching
big door,
bottom
big
side.
door.
They can take 2
I'm
bottom.
trying to watch
Yo,
bottom.
C
right
plat, C plat walking out.
Big door, weak.
Yo, glass, come in on me, glass.
Yo, one guy mid,
Neither,
mid,
neither, neither.
One shot,
Top
one
one, guys.
Here you go.
Upstairs, guys.
Last guy's long, last guy. I'm pushing long out.
One shot, lethal.
He's still sneaky. He's hiding
Alright, they're
sneaky.
gonna
He's hiding right here on the
spawn
box. One shot. Yeah, they're gonna
Okay,
spawn
elevator,
Ballage and A.
Pipe's going in. Or Pipe's going gold. Going
Okay,
gold.
listen, we're gonna play off gold here, alright?
Alright, I'm
They're in gold, they're in gold.
Native
Half
balance
wall,
for you
half
guys.
wall
Native
Yo, already
balance.
top gold, Brad.
I'm gonna need the draw. Yeah, I hear that.
Nice,
Might
guys.
be one more, might be one more.
Top A weak, top A half.
One
Really
shot,
weak top A,
battle,
really weak top A. Half one shot lethal absolute.
Yo, collapse on A here. Collapse on A together.
guys,
Use our
guys,
numbers.
Double bottom A, one shot, bottom A, one shot lethal.
Get to Matt.
He's still down here.
Yo, C plat. Yo,
Nice,
C
guys.
plat. C plat going long all. C plat going long all.
Come on.
Long, one shot. Absolute long,
Playing
absolute
a
long,
cheese
absolute
Okay,
long.
listen,
Yeah,
guys.
I'm
I have shock. I have
Okay.
shock.
Absolute long,
Say
absolute
that silo, Sparty. Yeah, I'm right here.
Yo, block.
Top tower, my bad. Top A cap, dropping mango pit, mango pit. Mango
chasing,
pit,
chasing.
mango pit.
It's one shot.
On needle jump up, two needle jump up right now. Two needles.
Back,
I got one.
Still here.
I'm weak
There's
also.
another guy top tower.
Neither, guys,
Neither, guys, neither.
He's one shot, Mingler pit. One shot, Mingler pit.
Top tower. Bottom A.
Yo, C plat and bottom tower.
One is
C
bottom
plat.
tower. Say up.
We're not watching crosses
Only
right
down
now.
by 6, guys.
That's not gold, that's not gold.
Listen, we're gonna need to set up for this next
They're
game,
trying
alright?
to kill me glass. They're trying to kill me glass. Long haul right now, Sparty. They're trying to kill me
Yeah,
glass.
I'm watching your long. I'm watching this.
Getting the fuck out
I got
of
one.
here.
Tower,
You guys, top tower.
Yo, listen. I have a repulsor sticky. I'm gonna try to go for a kill.
Top tower, guys, top tower.
Yo, C plat.
I'm trying to push this.
Very weak, C
Top
tower, weak tower, weak.
Watch out, C-stairs, watch out,
Tower,
C-stairs.
weak tower, weak on
Watch out,
All right, so maybe not as calm and collected as I predicted based on the Aquarius comms, but this game has heated up, and you can hear how these teams are organizing their different pushes. You'll hear how OpTic are still yelling out callouts and where people are at, but thinly veiled throughout those callouts are, we're trying to control gold here. We have this. They have this overall greater structure that I feel like I'm hearing in the OpTic callouts compared to Sentinels. It felt like a lot of them just kind of have these bloodlust callouts. Someone's weak here. We're charging. There's 2 left at lockers. Go, go, go.
Been fun to listen to the cons. Also been fun to watch the electrifying plays coming out of that shock rifle with Lucid. However, Formal did die with the camouflage, and Sentinels still have a 7-kill lead going into the end game. OpTic did pick it up. They did inch their way forward, but Sentinels once again have responded and are looking to tie the series up.
Yeah, look at these member Sentinels. They want to get aggro. They realize even though they have a lead, they want to set the pace. They want to be the ones that are pushing in on their terms, and that's why you saw Boo trying to make a play. You saw Sparty trying to create an opening for said play, and they both went down. But that's okay in the grand scheme of things, because overall, you've seen how Sentinels have thrived throughout the rest of this game. When they push, not every push is going to be successful, but when they are damaging.
We're starting to see OpTic start to huddle up here. 3-man push over toward the tower side, and APG even giving up his long haul position to kind of join them. OpTic are if they're going to fight, they're going to fight as a team, and they're going to send bodies at Sentinel. Sentinel needs to read the situation. Otherwise, this game can turn right around. It's only 4.
Only 4 separating these, and the reason that's been closing is we've been seeing a lot of pushes from Sentinels. There is an argument for the strategy to say, hey, once you have this kind of lead, especially as you get in the 40s, should you force OpTic to make the push? But like I said, it's definitely a situation these Sentinels members have been in before. They've decided that they want to be the aggressors. They want to push in on their terms. And that's another shutdown there as they spot out Boo Boo Doo pushing over near stacks.
This was once a 41-34 game. Sentinels still have 41. OpTic have now brought it to just 2. This is going to be bad if Sentinels aren't able to close it out. Finally, a kill goes in favor of Sentinels, and it's going to be Sparty taking down Lucid, but Boo Boo Doo does go down. All they got to do is trade out their lives, and finally Sentinels, they're starting to move into rhythm.
Yep, they've gotten a couple kills here, and that's what happens is when Sentinels do get that opening, they are not hesitating to fly across the map. They're a very fast-paced team, which works out incredibly well when your team has the advantage. However, if your team's getting caught out in the center during neutral or disadvantageous times, that's where it can come to hurt you, and you can bleed a few kills. Back to a 5-kill lead, though, for Sentinels. This one's going to be tough for OpTic to pull out.
Boo Boo Doo at the poking out, runs into Formal. Don't chase! Boo Boo Doo takes down Formal with that shock rifle, and now you're talking about all that A control back in favor of Sentinels as they are now 1 kill away from tying up the series. Here it is over towards the Battle Edge side. I was getting some flashbacks back from season 1 for a second.
No fear there from Boo Boo. Even though he's getting spotted and shot by the first person, he wants to go end that, and that's going to be a 50th and final kill going in the hands of what I believe he's Spartan, based on the enthusiasm I saw from those fist bumps.
Did notice from OpTic Gaming that the start of each of these games have gone towards them. Even during that 19-6 start from Sentinels, remember, the first 3 kills went to OpTic Gaming. They eventually got camouflaged because of it. So if they can start off hot here on the opening grip, it could give them that first middle hill, which is, oh, so hard to get. King of the Hill, Solitude. Series is tied 1 apiece. This is a swing game 3. This next win could decide momentum in the series.
Absolutely. Now, are they going to be able to, like I said, wait till they get the full force to make these pushes out? Or are we going to see a very aggressive game all across the board from Sentinels despite the numbers? Spartan and crew pushing over towards Nest, trying to get this initial sniper or QT. We're going to see who comes away with these weapons or power-ups.
I said on the desk earlier, I said Sparty sneakily one of the best snipers in the game, and you saw him go all the way towards that Nest side, but as Sparty goes down, there's an opportunity for OpTic to grab hold of all of the goodies. Formal takes down 1, Lucid takes down the other.
Yep, and there's 2 down. Falcated, one of the only members left here for Sentinels. Is he going to be able to stay alive and stay away? And he does. Trying to track down Lucid over at the dip, over towards Bomb Center, eventually picked down, but that's going to be 2 down apiece, and nobody's really messing with this hill off the start. They want to get those slays, and they want that sniper.
And looks like Boo Dubu putting his body on the line between him and the green wall, and he's going to be rewarded with the sniper because of it. 2 members of OpTic hit the black screen, so that's going to be Sentinels sliding into not only the hill, but also the more favorable spawns. You just have one more player to deal with an APG, and he hits the black screen as well.
Great aggression there from Sentinels. They got 3 members down. They knew APG was last one over at Tram/Loop, just going to clear him out and just scooping up this free time, forcing OpTic to push on outside of blue or go towards hotel to get some angle.
Falcon takes down Lucid. Back-to-back kills coming out of the duo. Glad to see Boo Dubu and Falcated back. Boo Dubu go for a little bit of high-risk, high-reward. Repulse jump eventually gets taken out. Still allows Spartan and Sentinels to not only control the A side, but to get even more time here. Sparty's in the hill. Lucid goes for the challenge. Both players down to 1 shot. Sparty did peek back out.
This is insane. He was the last member alive. He was up there for so long, and somehow Sparty gets a double kill while scrapping up so much crucial time in the top center. That was insane. In my eyes, that play was solid because at the beginning to make that decision, because you're just going to scrap up time. You're likely going to get hunted down anyways. Might as well put a little more points on the board towards the hill. But somehow it turns out even better by securing those kills, getting even more time. So just incredible individual effort there from Spartan.
And at times it's that scrappy time that can be the difference of you ultimately taking the hill or not. But OpTic bounce back like they always do. They get the numbers advantage. Now they're fighting hard for that A side control here. It looks like Sentinels will have to fight out and slay out one more time before they get that last tick that they need in the first hill.
Yeah, they can either desperate it and just try to get those last couple seconds, but ultimately, Sentinels want to set themselves up better for this second hill. They don't want to just put all 4 buys in the hill, grab this first point, and then go down a point and tie, essentially, against OpTic. So what you're going to see here is they're going to go for these slays. You see OpTic now overcommitting towards the top center hill. Yes, they will take it at points, especially when they get enough control, but they're not going to overcommit towards the top center hill.
Excellent shots out of form to take down 1, but Sparty comes in quick for the cleanup. But you see that kill feed, it's lighting up blue. OpTic take control once again. Sparty was the final player alive, ends up with the sniper, puts it to work immediately, but that should change hands.
Trippy trying to hold it down here at S4. This hill's actually starting to be scary. This is something that Sentinels are going to have to start worrying about more. Before, when it was about a quarter of the way, it really was not a worry whatsoever. It was like, this is clearly going to be a Sentinels hill. It's just a matter of time. And there's the last couple seconds going in the favor of Sentinels as they dip their toe in and are rewarded with the first point.
And not only to take that first hill, but you got momentary control over the driveway side. So OpTic once again have to slay you out before they're able to get into their own setup. And it looks like Formal is spotted and dealt with. Sparty ends up going down a brawl over towards driveways, going to favor Sentinels. All 4 players of OpTic are wiped. This is going to be some good time for Sentinels.
Look at this, Falcated, very aware of the spawns, realizing someone could likely go towards dip or be near hotel. So still watching that angle, uncertain if somebody slipped by, but here comes the push. He sees it coming from yard now. Likely, or does a good job clearing out yard there with his teammate, or dip there with his teammate. But now you see Sentinels kind of back on the back foot. They had control of the hill over a driveway. They had positioning over towards top center, but they kind of gave up position in the yard all to OpTic.
OpTic were able to take back that yard side control. Sentinels go right back at it. Some more scrappy time as OpTic are starting to move into position. Lucid takes the low side. You see 2 players up towards yard. Sentinels deal with the low side player first, try to double back. Doesn't have the shields to work with, but the damage has been done. Once again, Sentinels, they are winning these team fights, and it's going to translate to a 2-0 start if something doesn't change.
Yeah, Sentinels just doing a good job fighting together. So even some of those times where I'm critiquing and assuming Sentinels might be making a mistake, they're backing down as a team, and then they're re-entering the fight or the hill as a team. They aren't just trying to hold ground individually just because it's a place that they had before. Now looking what they're going to do over here in bomb dip. This is going to be APG and crew just trying to hold this down. It's 1 down a piece, make that 2 down here for Sentinels. And this has been relatively uncontested this entire time. This is a great third hill going in favor of OpTic so far.
When this third hill started, OpTic were able to wipe the 4 players off the map from Sentinels, and it's continued. Look at that progression. You're about, what, 70% done with this hill? Meanwhile, Sentinels are just starting to touch it now, and even Spartan is taken out quickly. 2-on-2 situation, so this next slay going to be so important. Looks like it goes in favor of OpTic, and they're also the first ones to spawn.
Yeah, and this can be incredibly daunting when another team gets so far ahead in the hill. You start to question yourself saying, all right, do we just kind of give up on this one? Do we just start to get slays instead for the next one? How do we really handle this? I mean, it's still too early in the game to just try to play time fully here for Sentinels. They can't just try to slay here and slay next hill. It's just too much of a risk given how much time is left. But at the same time, Sentinels don't want to overcommit towards getting time and getting halfway on the hill when OpTic are likely going to take it anyways.
Yeah, it's a little tough. I feel like if OpTic didn't start off with that 70% to 0% progression, maybe we can start talking about time here. But minute and 21 seconds on the clock. OpTic have yet to find that last tick, and now Sentinels are starting to work for this hill at the moment, and time is starting to wind down, so maybe OpTic are able to take this one. They still need one more in order to tie up the game.
Yeah, actually, OpTic are kind of putting themselves in a tricky position here because they want to take it and they want to take it fast. Now, before when we had a minute 40 left on the clock, it's a little different to consider how much time is left. But now that there's only a minute left and OpTic aren't really in position to dip their toe in, they almost can just slay here. Sentinels can likely just run this clock, and that looks like it's going to be the strategy. You see nobody from Sentinels going inside the hill. There are 45 seconds left in this match. OpTic not only have to dip their toes and make themselves vulnerable to get in this bottom dip area, they also have to get full control of the next hill and close out within 35 seconds.
There was a whole 2 minutes on the clock where OpTic just needed the one tick in order to finish out that hill. Now 36 seconds. They wasted so much time not closing it out, and now I'm wondering, do we have enough time in order to take this hill? Sentinels, 1 round of slays, and that might just be it for OpTic Gaming.
Yeah, and they know the push is coming here from bottom left. There's a 4v3 scenario. Boo and crew are pushing on up towards the nest. They scared Trippy away, and that is fine for Sentinels. Right now, they either need to get kills or they just need to get members of OpTic outside of the hill. And even if they have to repulse them out, whatever way they got to do it, it has been done.
All you gotta do is play keep away, zone OpTic out for just 20 more seconds, and this game, along with momentum in this series, is yours. Time is winding down. The first one for OpTic ends up going down, but they are finding the slays when it matters most, and Lucid, one of the most elusive players in the game now, with the portal, this can be dangerous for Sentinels.
Yeah, Lucid gonna be able to teleport right back in when needed, but problem is, all eyes can be fixated on this hill, so even if he teleports for a second, it's not gonna be enough. That's 3 down. Formal, last one remaining, and that is going to be 8 seconds for OpTic to somehow sprint across the map and touch their toes in the hill, and I don't see that happening, Tony. We're looking at a 2-1 lead here for Sentinels.
Woo! Sentinels icing up when it matters most, and this game's gonna end 2-1 just by that timer running down to 0 seconds. You have to think, what if OpTic were able to close that out? Well, ladies and gentlemen, this could be the final time we see OpTic in pool play if Sentinels are able to close it out. We're dropping here oddball on live fire, overshield, sniper, got a little bit of heat wave action, and it's all about controlling those spawns and locking in a setup. Easier said than done, but that's why I'm here talking and not playing.
Much easier said than done. Now, one thing I felt that was very key to a lot of these successful pushes here from Sentinels is just these aggressive angles and pushes that we've been able to see from the likes of Boo, being able to sneak behind enemy lines, create some chaos. Now, can Sentinels do those same sort of pushes here on Livefire? I feel like Livefire gets locked down quite a bit more. Yes, you can take certain rotations. Yes, you can fly across the top center together as a team, but we won't see as many sneaky individual angles that we were seeing on larger maps or more convoluted maps like Recharge and Solitude.
Well, that's a sneaky angle right there that Lucid took with that sniper. He knew that ultimately Sentinel was spawning over toward the green side, blocks out that angle. Formal now has the overshield and heat wave combination, takes down 1, make it 2 as Lethal and Falcated both go down, and OpTic still have the ball.
OpTic off to a strong start here. Series is far from over. But if, and Tony, hear me out on this hypothetical.
Okay.
if OpTic were to lose this series, you know who that would put them up against bracket play a little bit earlier? Quadrant. Most likely they'd play Quadrant earlier, who was the one to knock them out of Arlington. So OpTic, sure, want the rematch at some point, but I don't know if they want that early in the bracket.
Both of these teams were knocked out at Arlington by Quadruple Sentinels and OpTic, so I don't know if that's more motivation to play them again or to push it back, but as of right now, OpTic desperately need this Game 4 win in order to send us into a Game 5. 25-0 start, but now Sentinels have that ball and are slowly starting to move into the defensive stance.
Yeah, defensive stance. They have that ball all the way towards green, but Lucid still not very comfortable here in this position, hoping that his teammates can push on over, but all his teammates getting picked off, and he's just hoping that thing resets. It's been alone for quite some time, and now Lucid kind of being a one-man army charging towards Overshield, flanking over on Lethal, and the damage has been done. And oh my gosh, that's a ping-ponging back and forth plasma grenade. Haven't seen one of those in a long while.
Somehow doesn't find the kill, but they weren't able to take down Lucid, and Falcated wasn't able to escape that situation, so another engagement now goes towards OpTic Gaming. That repulse might have been huge for both Lucid and OpTic.
Yeah, looking right here, trying to take over towards this top tower, but Lucid down, APG down. Ball is not in position to be played, even though we saw OpTic kind of grab it early on. Looks like it never was able to rotate outside of tunnel. Formal trying everything can to get out of there, but Lethal gonna beat down Matt, Formal, and Trippy, and that's gonna create an opportunity for Spartan to push this ball on over towards Garage.
Sentinels have been really picking up in the Slays department and finally starting to convert into some ball time. Sparty dropped that ball just momentarily to secure the kill, but that grenade, little Marty down grenade coming out of nowhere, takes him down. Trippy coming in with the heat wave. Knock, knock, who's there? OpTic recovered.
OpTic just did a great job taking over that ball rotation, taking over Garage. You know Sentinels were hoping that once they got over there, they'd be able to acquire a little bit more time, but unfortunately too many kills going in the favor of their opponents. Now Trippy kind of on a flank, left the ball to be on its own for a moment here, and gonna try to pick off this new ball.
Ball finds the hands of Sentinels, but Trippy still has a huge flank. He sees that Boo was preoccupied, takes this the opportunity to chase Falcated away. Sentinels do end up going 3 down. Falcated might have escaped, but you keep your eyes on the prize. It's all about that ball time.
And rotating all the way towards back green, they're in a much safer spot here. Many of these other times where we've been seeing OpTic get the ball out, it's been stuck over towards tunnel, or they've had it die towards back green, and that's going to be a death sentence. So you're going to see Trippy right here take his teammates to that screen. Formal's going to let him know when someone's getting nearby, and he's going to play that ball if needed, and that's Trippy tossing that one off the map. Ball respawn, and APG are there to watch it. But he's in a difficult situation. He has OS. He does not want to grab this. He was hoping somebody from Sentinels would just dive right on it so he could fight that one-on-one and then rotate. But ultimately, he's just been wasting a lot of time in bottom center, and now decides to pick it up. Not the incorrect play, but not the way that APG hoped that went down.
Well, I mean, it's working out some way, somehow, because not only did OpTic have a 65-15 lead, but like you said, APG with that overshield now is able to drop the ball and put down the damage he was looking for as Sparty loses the sniper, Falcated loses his life as well. You only have one more player to deal with in Lethal, and Lethal's going in for the challenge. He's also going to the black screen. OpTic might get some valuable time.
APG just buying time. And that's what you'll see all these top teams and players do when they have the numbers advantage, when they're going to get help faster. However, you'll see the exact opposite reaction. When they are down in numbers, they're going to panic, they're going to charge straight towards the fight and try to finish that fight. It's all about who's getting help first and reacting properly.
It's only about a 7 or 8 kill difference on the score line after that big 3 down, going in favor of OpTic, but it's such a dominant performance, at least in the oddball time. 80-15 run coming out of OpTic at the moment. They have been so good in the objective efficiency department, and it might just net them a round number 1. Early ball played, and APG put it on the jukes. Oh, whew.
That could have been scary if he didn't have a teammate there to help him. I mean, he had the jukes, he had them all twisted up. So great play there by APG, and also a great heads up early play ball. One thing we were critiquing there before this game started was saying, hey, are OpTic going to be as strong here on oddball compared to Sentinels? And the answer is yes. OpTic are doing well, like you said. Objective efficiency-wise, they're doing so strong. Game number 1, OpTic dominated just because they outslayed so hard. Once we're back towards an even slaying, we're going to really see who's the better objective player, and that still turns out to be OpTic here in Game 4.
Another overshow finds the hands of APG, and another oddball round won here by OpTic. 1 round away from ultimately sending us into that game number 5. Sentinels, can you respond?
Sentinels want to get a bit of a stronger start. Every single time we saw Sentinels really get the ball out, it almost felt like they were kind of doing a delivery service for OpTic. They're saying, hey, you guys want to do a setup in garage? Here you go. You don't have to bring it all the way from tunnel. We need to see Sentinels get a strong setup of their own and rotate in the correct direction. We've seen them grab it at the correct times, and I don't know if it's either running in the wrong directions or they're not executing the kills that they need to during that rotation. But something has not been clicking for Sentinels so far this oddball game, and they have 1 round to figure out, because if they don't get it figured out now and soon, they're going to go to a game 5.
This is not a 3rd, maybe 4th overshield in a row that finds the hands of OpTic Gaming. Sentinels, if they want to make these setup breaks easier, they got to get the overshield. You're seeing what they do. Trippy finds 1, another one goes down for Sentinels. Luckily, they are able to deal with him, but you're once again 3 down, and now your last player falls. APG still has that ball, and it's a 30-0 start.
And just slowly and cautiously rotating that ball around. You don't see OpTic at the moment over-committing with that ball, rotating all the way towards green or running back towards dummies. In fact, they get a little bit caught off guard with it, and they get the play ball. But more importantly, it's not just going directly in the hands or the setup of Sentinels.
Formal drops that sniper off for Sentinels. You talk about hand delivering some of these power-ups and power-ups. That sniper now sitting over toward the mid-map. We have an individual fight between APG and Falcon. And Falcon, he's trying to dance on low, but I think the kids call that getting sturdy. I'm still learning.
And look at that, after those dance moves and also that rotation, getting the ball back in the hands of OpTic. It feels like anytime a few kills resolve themselves, it's OpTic coming out ahead with the better positioning and with the oddball. We have yet to see Sentinels touch it here in this round number 2, and they need to do something quick. Overshield's coming up soon. This could be the opportunity, but it feels like they're a little disjointed. You see members of Sentinels pushing down low. You see some pushing towards Platt. I don't really see anyone getting up high with this OS just yet, and now we are seeing it in the hands of Sparty. Gets the flank, there's a double. Now, can they get this into a full proper setup? Because they have 50 seconds to make up here, Tony.
OpTic been able to turn that positioning that you were talking about into a 52-0 start, but finally Sentinels find themselves an overshield. They find themselves some pressure, a few points on the board. That's not enough.
No, and it felt like a very admirable charge there from Sparty, but didn't have the backup he needed. I liked how he closed that gap in a very concealed way, pushing over from Nest and going in towards those 2 boxes, but ultimately still jumps out and challenges against 2 players, and not much you can do there unless he has a little bit more help. So just needs to be a little bit more on the same page here, because we're seeing Sentinels get many members down here from OpTic, but they only have 8 points to show for it. They can't consistently expect to get OpTic down, all 4 down, 10+ times. They need to get longer rallies of oddball time.
Booba was able to get away with that sniper, and Falcated finds that ball quickly. Trying to look for where exactly OpTic is spawning over toward the seaside. It looks like Booba recognizing it. If he hits a couple of shots here, that will slow down OpTic, but they are already pushing. Formal taking the low side over towards screens. Booba just looks away. He has to be careful. Formal's right behind him. Here's the flank.
Great movement from Formal, great flank, and essentially OpTic pushed all the way across the map, not really letting the sniper be of any use. They get the flank, they get the kill on the snipe, and now they have their own setup. So that second setup we saw from Sentinels, 12 points. OpTic just getting those kills. Let's see how they react with their 5th or 6th setup, depending on what number they're at right now.
81-20 start. At this point, Sentinels need to pick it up. Lethal immediately firing for the overshield. That shroud was perfectly placed in order to help him get out of that line of sight. Pop that overshield, but OpTic still have the ball on the green side setup. 10 seconds away from ultimately taking this game and sending us to a game 5. Sentinels, you gotta push right now. Falcon and Booba are trying to get there. Eventually, Trippy goes down. Just 3 seconds needed for OpTic Gaming.
Taking them all down. Formal, the last one alive. Is he going to desperate on it? Of course not. He's going to try to go for some plays, get some damage, gets a player 1 shot over at Keydor. but there is little to no room for error. And I don't know if I can say I have the confidence that Sentinels can really bring this back. In fact, Lucid's just going to quick scoop that up and close out game number 4. We're going to game 5, Tony. So we're going to see who gets away with those rockets. Who is deciding the pace of this game? Is it going to be Sentinels trying to push their aggressive play style, trying to stagger the spawns on OpTic? Or are they going to allow OpTic to make some incorrect pushes, make some mistakes of their own? Because we have seen Sentinels continually try to push their advantage and try to make a play. You'll see Boo and Spartan try to be those playmakers, and that's Spartan right off the bat, tossing those rockets back to his teammates in the form of Boo.
As important as we're talking about how the opening breaks are going to be, every game so far has kind of favored OpTic over towards that opening break, even the ones where Sentinels ended up winning, but Sentinels win over those rockets in the hands of Boo. First 2 kills end up going towards them, and now they have an opportunity to trap OpTic, limit their options right off of spawn.
Yeah, and Boo just a little too late checking that spot. Knew that somebody was likely towards bomb stairs. Trippy relocating and getting taken out by Falcated, but right there, great initial start here from Sentinels. How are they going to follow it up? It is basically a tie game. We did see them get into their comfort zone as they got a bit of a lead. Do they need a little bit more to get that lead? And that's going to be 2 down here for OpTic, staggering spawns.
And just to kind of remind you guys of what's on the line here, this is game 5 here in your pool of death, where both of these teams are undefeated. This matchup will end up deciding who goes into bracket play as the first seed and who ends up going as the second seed here. This is so important, has so much implications. Obviously, OpTic and Sentinels are aware that Sentinels starting off with just a small lead. It looks like that Threat Seeker might have given them some information. Lucy gets a double kill. Falcated puts that shotty to the body. Now looking for the trip, dancing a little bit, and Spartan, he flies his way into that situation.
Falcated just doing such a good job realizing that his teammate was going to give him help. He just had to dodge back and forth in that arcade to stay alive. The general rule of thumb with these pro players is if you have numbers advantage, like I said before, you're waiting for your teammates to help you. Second rule of thumb is if you are low shield, you want to be the same size as your teammate if you have lower shield than an opponent. Whereas if you have more shield, you want to go opposite way of your teammates so you can secure that kill and not let them run circles around you. So Falcated just doing a good job dancing back and forth, hearing from his teammate which side was safe.
You got the third most important rule of thumb. Give Falcated the Sentinel beat. That's the most important one. My man is flying right now as rockets do end up coming up. They're picked up, but not used just yet. My gosh, Party going right into the face of Formal. 2 players, OpTic, 1 shot over towards the green gen. You see the spike grenades trying to pick them up, but OpTic stay alive. Lucy gets away with rockets.
One thing that's interesting too, as we saw from Formal there in that last engagement and throughout engagements throughout this entire match, is he's always looking for the wait for the 2-shot melee. Whereas you see a lot of opponents, you saw Sparty in this most recent engagement, or you saw earlier on Recharge, where Sparty will go for that melee right away and then try to get that shot or that second melee. Seems like Formal is more comfortable going for the 2-shot melee, assuming that he can execute, he will get that kill faster than the person that melees.
As of right now, Lucy looking for his next target with the rockets. No melee is needed if you play your cards just right. You're only down by 3 kills, but that 1 kill could turn to 2, which can turn the tables for you for OpTic Gaming. But the game gonna slow down. Sparty just daring Lucid to cross that path. It looks like Lucid able to spot out 1 with the rockets over toward the Stalker's side. Sparty puts Lucid down to 1 shot. Can't quite find the kill. Luckily, Falcated is there, but so is Formal with the Bulldog.
The calm before the storm. You saw those players waiting to see when that shroud would dissipate, where those members are going to be towards the top balcony. I want to go to a listen with Formal and the OpTic Gaming squad to see how they're going to try to close out this crucial game number 5.
Yo, back nest. Yo, they're going back to me. They're going back to me. Yo, listen, hold this. Keep holding sub. Keep holding sub.
Yo, top nest is square. In.
I can play purple here.
Yo, watch
Yo, one guy PD. Yo, they're hitting rail. They're doubling rail. They're doubling rail.
Yo, mid, guys.
You can fight mid. You guys can just fight mid. You guys can just fight purple.
I got one. Rail. One rocket down ATM. One rocket down
Lethal.
ATM, guys. One rocket down. Nice, 2. One rocket down. They have ATM, Tom. He's ATM with it. With a rocket.
Lay down by 2.
Yo, go back to nest here.
If Stalker's on.
Might have a rocket just sitting here.
Yeah. ATM.
Okay, just find this rocket guy and play away from him.
just
There's one guy rail, one guy rail.
Just wasted.
Yo, half shield's rail.
One shot rail,
Not
Jesse.
sure.
3 rail.
You guys-
Okay, we did
Three or
two guys left. 3 left.
Go
Go
right, go right, go right. Don't look back. Don't
Yo,
look
what's
back.
your right?
Real laundry,
Close to
laundry.
right. Close to right. Close to right.
Yo, one guy, main right, one shot. I got one.
Fine,
Mid right. ATM. He's main right, two main right now.
Yeah, main right.
Use your numbers.
Shot ATM, that's
Okay, reset, guys, reset. Can we get back into sub here? I spawned here,
Yeah, I
actually.
got it. I got you. Yo, calm the comms, guys. Just a little bit. Just a little.
Yo, can we clear our close angles here? Like, clear our
Nothing
trash.
out market. Just come out
What's
here.
left me
Come out
doesn't
here.
I hear you, I hear you, I hear you, man. If they team, he's just
Okay, we're in a good setup.
Yo,
Joey,
new pink left, brother.
Yeah,
Two left.
Yo, on spikes, Brad, on spikes, Brad.
Let's get bullets well.
Absolute purple, guys. Absolute purple spikes. Absolute purple spikes. One's rail as well.
One guy rail.
Go rail together. Go rail.
Help me right, Tommy.
I know. They're already here. They're already here.
Here.
They're gonna be cut.
I got a melee. He's one shot. Yo, those guys trash.
Top out.
Guys, we need to start playing away from this
Drop it,
now.
I mean, we.
I need it. Drive it.
Or just hit
red.
Red.
One
Fight
shot
that
red.
together.
Nice,
I spawned PD, guys.
Yo,
I spawned
cuts
PD.
free kill. Cuts weak as
Careful,
hell.
they're watching
Cuts weak as
on
hell.
Yo, watch your-
One shot.
On spikes as well.
I'm in red.
Wait, can you guys help me get back to red?
Yeah.
Look at Lucid leading his squad throughout that listening. One thing that was most notable to me is more often than not, Lucid would locate where a couple members are. And instead of saying, help me, get over here, he said, fight a different direction. He'd find players over at rail and say, push purple, push center, get away from their mass forces. It's a very interesting mindset to say, instead of meeting their forces head on and finding where people are at and just running like a chicken with your head cut off, trying to find fights, they are trying to find the advantageous angles that they can push across the map. They know that the opposing team isn't going to put all 4 members in one area, so they're saying, all right, as soon as we find 2 or 3, let's go overload the other side of the map, pick off those 1 or 2 members, and we will have the advantage.
OpTic have done a great job of finding the weakness in the pushes of Sentinels, but up until this point, as you see Sentinels put OpTic 3 down, the final player alive is APG. Wanted to take down 1 before going down himself. Looks like that's not going to happen. Lucid hits the black screen as well, but it's still just a 1-kill game, and Formal, he has the Rockets.
As the Rockets gonna see what he can do to lock down this neon side, has to know players are coming from the opposite end. Since he has this fully locked down. Now this could be a little sketchy. He gotta know somebody nearby, and what a sneaky spot from Spartan. Doesn't even trade. So what a turning of tides there by Spartan to perfectly play that corner on Neon.
Them Rockets ain't rocking it right now, and Sparty somehow gets away with his life. Puts that player down to 1 shot with the Rockets, but Sparty's taking height. It looks like there's a player literally right behind him, somehow staying alive, and that player's 1 shot, so he's gonna try to hunt him down. Trades out his life to Sparty and Trippy.
Sparty not hesitating to create some action, realizing that he can get behind enemy lines, cause chaos and panic, and create opportunity for the rest of Sentinels members to fly across the map. This is the 3-kill lead here for Sentinels. Expect the same style of playstyle. Once we go back to someone's POV like Boo Boo or Sparty later on, you'll see that they're gonna try to find some angle or some weakness in the setup of OpTic, get a little further along, and then the rest of the Sentinels are gonna fly. And look at this, OpTic all going back towards the tram. They must have been lured in by a certain member. And all of a sudden, OpTic are stuck in 1 spot of the map. That's 3 down. Boo Boo securing the kill on Formal over at top balcony.
Lethal did a great job of creating a distraction over towards the B Street, allowing Sparty to get aggressive by sneaking into the arcade, and because of that, B Street gets wiped. Sparty puts his 19th kill on the board. Lethal's able to take down APG. Finally, OpTic are fighting back, but it's a 5-kill game, and Sentinels are 5 kills away from taking it.
Formal getting the Rockets, gets the damage on Spartan, but Spartan able to live with just a sliver of health, somehow gets the double, fighting APG for the triple, and the damage has been done. Sentinels 2 kills away from taking first place in Pool D above OpTic Gaming.
Lethal immediately takes height. A little isolated at the moment, but it's like OpTic doesn't recognize that dead, and the cross-map shots coming out of nowhere allow Sparty to steal that kill, and Lethal is somehow still alive over toward the back seat. Now Sparty's in the face doing damage onto multiple players. Boo Boo Doo picks it up. OpTic go down. OpTic go down.
Spartan and Sentinel celebrating, rightfully so. Able to take out the juggernaut in OpTic Gaming here in pool play. Their work is just starting off, but their weekend is looking bright, as that is such a massive victory here for Sentinels.
A Game 5 win against the Green Wall, and you saw how excited Sparty got. I mean, come on, with that kind of performance in a Game 5 when the lights are brightest, Sentinels taking the #1 seed in the pool of death after a huge win on OpTic game.
They got to be proud. I mean, I just saw so many great plays out of Sentinels there. There were certain times where we were critical of their objective play on games 1 and 4. But the rest of the time, they stuck to their aggressive play style. They let their playmakers create opportunities. The rest of the teammates backed them up when needed. Anytime that OpTic gave up a little bit of ground, Sentinels recognized it and took that ground. You even saw it from Lethal at the very end of the game. He knew a couple members were coming over towards Tram. He checked Tram, realized it was clear, and says, you know what, I'm going to push all the way towards Commando. I'm going to go over there so I can get an angle on stairs. He realized that nobody from OpTic was pushing all the way across and decided to take up more ground and get an additional angle.
Yeah, it's crazy because, you know, our eyes are drawn to the dynamic kills that you see Sparty and Falcade get. But, you know, one thing I learned from the Utah Jazz is every Malone needs a Stockton. So the same way you see those plays coming out on screen is the same way that either Lethal or Boo Dubu are playing their life, being that anchor, really really leading the troops and guiding where the action's coming from to make it easy for your Slayers to come out and to take advantage. So, excellent performance out of everyone out of the Sentinel squad. It takes a full team to beat a team like OpTic game.
Yes, absolutely. And they got to be proud. I mean, a lot of close score lines, especially in those last 4 games. But a win is a win. And congratulations, Sentinels.